Jake Turner wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked on an old rover engine. His repair shop sat at the edge of New Hope Colony, the last building before the empty red plains of Mars stretched to the horizon. The afternoon sun beat down through the dome's filters, casting long shadows across his cluttered workshop. "Almost got you fixed," Jake muttered to the engine. He had been a mechanic for 15 years, 10 of those on Mars. People knew him as the guy who could fix anything with moving parts. His shop walls were lined with spare parts, old tools, and the random bits of machinery he'd collected over the years. The lights flickered suddenly. Jake looked up, frowning. Power issues weren't common in the colony anymore. Then he noticed something odd. The sunlight had dimmed too, as if something large had moved between his shop and the sun. A heavy thud shook the ground outside. Tools rattled on their hooks. Jake's coffee mug tipped over, spilling across his workbench. What the hell? Jake grabbed a wrench, not much of a weapon, but better than nothing, and walked to the door. What he saw made him freeze. A massive creature stood in the dusty yard outside his shop. It looked like the dragons from old Earth stories, but with a body that seemed partly made of metal. Its scales shimmered with blues and silvers that didn't look natural. Parts of its body glowed with soft blue light, showing what looked like circuits running beneath its skin. The creature was at least 20 feet long from nose to tail. Its wings, half folded against its back, would span twice that when spread. For powerful legs ended in claws that left deep marks in the Martian soil. Jake's first thought was to run back inside and hit the colony alarm. But curiosity, the same curiosity that had made him a good mechanic, kept him rooted to the spot. The dragon turned its head toward him. Its eyes were strange, not like animal eyes, but more like camera lenses that clicked and adjusted as they focused on him. "You are the mechanic," the dragon said. Its voice was deep and smooth, with an odd echo like two people speaking at once. Jake tightened his grip on the wrench. "I am." "And you are?" "I am called Draken," the creature replied. "I have watched your settlement. Observed your work." "That's not creepy at all," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "What do you want?" The dragon moved closer, its movements surprisingly graceful for something so large. "I require your assistance. Specifically, I need what you discard." "What I discard?" Jake repeated, confused. "Your leftovers," Draken clarified. "The parts you remove and replace. The materials you consider waste." Jake stared at the dragon, trying to make sense of the request. A giant techno-organic dragon had landed at his shop asking for his junk pile. This was definitely not covered in the colony's first contact protocols. "You want my scrap metal?" Jake asked. "Why?" Draken's head lowered until it was level with Jake's. This close, Jake could see complex patterns moving beneath the creature's scales, like circuits processing information. "My kind requires such materials to survive," Draken explained. "We consume what others discard. We transform waste into energy." Jake's mind raced with questions. Was this thing dangerous? Should he alert the colony? But something about the dragon's manner didn't seem threatening. If it wanted to attack, it could have done so already. "I've got plenty of scrap," Jake said slowly. "But I'm curious, what exactly are you?" Draken settled onto the dusty ground, folding its wings against its back. The movement sent small whirls of red dust into the air. "I am void-born," the dragon said. "My kind lives in the empty spaces between stars. We have watched your species spread across this system." Jake set his wrench down on a nearby barrel but stayed alert. "Never heard of the void-born before. Few humans have seen us. We prefer to remain hidden." Draken's eyes adjusted again with a soft click. "Some of your people call us space dragons. A simple name, but not incorrect." Jake looked at the creature with growing interest. In his years on Mars, He had heard stories from deep space pilots about strange lights and shadows that moved in ways no ship could. Most people laughed these off as tall tales or space madness. Now he wondered if those pilots had seen Draken's kind. "So you eat metal and old parts?" Jake asked. "We consume and transform materials others abandon," Draken explained. "What you throw away contains elements we need. We break them down and use them to maintain our bodies." Jake walked in a slow circle around the dragon, his mechanics eye noting details. Parts of Draken looked organic, while others seemed mechanical. The blue glow pulsed in patterns that reminded Jake of computer systems running diagnostics. "You're part machine?" he asked. "And part living creature," Draken replied. "My ancestors were different. Over time, we changed. Adapted. Now we are what you see." Jake nodded slowly. His mind was already thinking about the piles of scrap behind his shop. "I've got a whole junkyard of leftovers. Been meaning to send it for recycling, but transport costs are high." "You're welcome to it." Draken's head tilted in what Jake guessed was surprise. "You would share your resources so freely?" Jake shrugged. "It's trash to me. If it helps you, why not?" The dragon followed Jake around the back of the shop where years of repairs had created small mountains of discarded parts. Old engine blocks, broken solar panels, cracked dome sections, and tangles of wiring filled the yard. "This is more than expected," Draken said, something like excitement in its dual-toned voice. "Help yourself," Jake said, gesturing to the piles. Draken approached a heap of old rover parts. Its mouth opened, revealing not teeth but something like a glowing field of energy. As the dragon touched the metal, the parts seemed to dissolve, breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces until they were absorbed directly through Draken's scales. The process gave off a soft blue light. Jake watched in amazement. "That's some digestive system you've got there." After consuming several pieces, Draken turned back to Jake. "This is good. Better than what I have found elsewhere. Your leftovers contain rare elements." "Just doing my job," Jake said. "Breaking things to fix other things." Draken's eyes focused on Jake with new interest. "You understand more than you reveal, mechanic. Your species discards much, yet you see value where others do not." Jake felt a strange connection forming with this alien creature. Both of them worked with broken things, finding use in what others threw away. "Come back tomorrow," Jake said suddenly. "I might have something better than random junk for you." "Better?" Draken's head tilted again. "Just a hunch," Jake replied. "I'm good with machines. Maybe I can help with whatever machine parts you've got in you too." The next day, Jake woke before sunrise. He spent the early morning hours sorting through his supplies, picking out specific parts and materials. This wasn't random junk anymore. He was selecting things with purpose. By midday, he had arranged a neat pile in the yard behind his shop. There were copper wires, small power cells, rare earth magnets, and special alloys used in colony ships. Jake had even added some old computer chips that still worked but were too outdated for colony use. His assistant, Bobby Miller, watched him with growing curiosity. "What are you doing, boss?" Bobby asked, leaning against the doorframe. "Those are good parts. We could use some of that stuff." Jake didn't look up from his work. "Got a new customer. Special needs. Must be real special to get our best salvage," Bobby said. "Colony would pay good credits for those power cells." Jake just smiled. "Take the afternoon off, Bobby. I've got this covered." After Bobby left, Jake continued preparing. He wasn't sure why he felt so driven to help Draken, but something about the space dragon fascinated him. In 15 years as a mechanic, he'd never seen anything like it, part living creature, part machine. The engineer in him couldn't resist the challenge. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the Martian landscape, Jake heard the now familiar sound of heavy wings. Draken landed in the yard with surprising grace for something so large. "You returned," Jake said, stepping outside. "You invited me," Draken replied. The dragon's eyes adjusted, focusing on the pile Jake had prepared. "What is this?" "Not leftovers," Jake explained. "I picked these specifically for you. High-grade materials with better properties than random scrap." Draken moved closer, examining the pile. "These are not waste. These have value to your people." Jake shrugged. "I can get more. Thought they might be better for whatever systems you've got running in there." He gestured to the glowing circuits visible beneath Draken's scales. The dragon was silent for a long moment. Then it lowered its head to the pile and began to consume the materials. This time, Jake noticed something different. The blue glow that accompanied the process was brighter, more intense. Draken's body seemed to pulse with energy as it absorbed the carefully selected parts. When finished, Draken lifted its head. The circuits beneath its scales were glowing more brightly than before. "This feeling," the dragon said, voice resonating with new harmonics. "It is different. These materials interact with my systems in ways I had forgotten." Jake smiled. "Thought they might. Your body reminds me of some advanced tech I've worked on. Figured the right materials could help." "You have helped me, Jake Turner," Draken said. "Now I must help you in return." "You don't owe me anything," Jake started to say. "Balance must be maintained," Draken interrupted. "What do you require? Knowledge? Resources from beyond your colony?" Jake thought for a moment. The colony did have problems that needed solving. "Our power grid has been unstable lately," he said. "Environmental systems keep glitching. Engineers can't figure out why." Draken's eyes brightened. "Energy systems are part of what I am. I can examine your power grid without being detected." "You do that?" Jake asked. "You gave me choice materials when I asked only for leftovers," Draken replied. "This exchange benefits us both." Jake nodded, feeling like he had just made a deal that would change everything. He didn't know yet how right he was. "Come back tomorrow night," Jake said. "I'll have more materials ready, and we can talk about the power grid." As Draken flew away, Jake watched the dragon's form disappear against the darkening sky. He had a feeling this was just the beginning of something much bigger than spare parts. A week passed. Each night, Draken would visit Jake's shop after dark. Each night, Jake would have new materials ready, not random junk, but carefully chosen parts that seemed to help the dragon's systems. Tonight, Jake had decided to trust someone else with his secret. He couldn't keep doing this alone. "You better not be messing with me," said Lisa Parker, the colony's best electrical engineer and Jake's old friend. She stood in the darkened yard behind his shop, arms crossed over her chest. "I skipped game night for this." "Just wait," Jake said, checking his watch. "Should be any minute now." The sound came first, a soft whoosh of large wings cutting through the thin Martian atmosphere. Then the shadow, blocking out stars as it descended. Lisa's mouth fell open as Draken landed in the yard. The dragon seemed larger than before, its scales shinier, the blue glow beneath them brighter and more organized. "Holy!" Lisa whispered, taking an involuntary step back. "Draken, this is Lisa," Jake said calmly. "She's the friend I told you about. The one who might help us understand what's happening to you." Draken lowered its head to examine Lisa. "You bring another human into our arrangement. You trust her?" It wasn't a question, but Jake nodded anyway. "I do. Lisa knows more about energy systems than anyone in the colony. She can help us figure out why the materials I've been giving you are causing changes." Lisa had recovered from her shock enough to step forward, professional curiosity overcoming fear. "May I?" she asked, reaching toward Draken's scales. The dragon remained still as Lisa touched its side. She ran her fingers over the metallic surface, eyes widening as she felt the warmth and subtle vibration beneath. "It's like a living circuit," she said with wonder. "I can feel energy flowing through patterns." "Jake, this is incredible. I've been giving Draken specific materials," Jake explained. "Each time, the patterns change. Get more organized." Lisa pulled out a small scanner from her pocket and held it near Draken's side. The device beeped and displayed readings that made her eyebrows rise. "These energy signatures," she murmured. "They're similar to our colony's power grid, but much more efficient. No waste heat at all." Draken's eyes adjusted with a click. "The materials Jake provides activate dormant systems within me. Each feeding brings new awareness. New memories." "Memories?" Lisa asked. "I believe my kind was not always as we are now," Draken explained. "The parts Jake selected have reactivated old pathways. I am remembering things long forgotten." Jake stepped closer. "What kind of things?" "Purpose," Draken said simply. "We were not meant to be scavengers. We were created to be guardians." The revelation hung in the air between them. Lisa looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Created?" she asked. "By whom?" "I do not yet remember," Draken replied. "But I know we were designed to protect developing worlds. To consume threats, space debris, radiation, certain predatory species. We were tools of balance." Jake thought about this. "So you were made to eat dangerous stuff to keep planets safe?" "Yes," Draken confirmed. "But our creators vanished long ago. Without guidance, without proper sustenance, we forgot. We became simple consumers of waste." Lisa's scanner beeped again. "These readings suggest your systems are realigning. Optimizing. The materials Jake provided contain trace elements that match my original design parameters," Draken explained. "He has accidentally begun restoring my primary functions." Jake looked at the dragon with new understanding. He hadn't just been feeding a strange alien, he'd been helping it remember its true nature. "So what happens now?" he asked. Before Draken could answer, all three of them froze at the sound of colony alarms beginning to wail in the distance. The alarms grew louder, echoing across the colony. Red emergency lights began flashing throughout the dome. "That's the environmental alert," Lisa said, her face going pale. "Something's wrong with life support." Jake's communicator buzzed. He answered to hear Bobby's panicked voice, "Jake. Where are you? The main power grid is down. Backup systems are failing too." "I'm at the shop," Jake replied. "What's happening?" "Nobody knows," Bobby said. "But oxygen levels are dropping in the main dome. They're evacuating people to the emergency shelters." Lisa was already checking her tablet. "He's right. Primary and secondary environmental controls are offline. This shouldn't be possible, they have separate systems." Draken's head rose sharply, eyes focusing on the night sky. "We are not alone." Jake and Lisa followed the dragon's gaze but saw nothing unusual among the stars. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Others of my kind are here," Draken said. "I can sense them. 3 young ones, hungry and desperate. They are feeding on your colony's energy systems." Lisa's eyes widened. "That explains the power failures. If they eat energy like you eat materials. They are consuming active systems, not waste," Draken confirmed. "Without proper guidance, they take what they need without understanding the harm." Jake's mind raced. "Can you stop them? Talk to them?" "I can try," Draken said. "But they are wild. Untaught. They may not listen." The colony's emergency sirens changed tone, shifting to a higher pitch that Jake recognized as the evacuation signal. In the distance, he could see people rushing toward the shelter domes. "We don't have much time," Lisa said, checking her tablet again. At current rates of oxygen depletion, we have maybe 3 hours before levels become dangerous. Jake made a quick decision. Draken, can you find these others? Show yourself to them. Yes, the dragon replied. But they may see me as competition for resources. We need to try, Jake insisted. Lisa and I will head to the main power center. Maybe we can repair some of the damage while you deal with the other dragons. Draken's wings unfurled, stretching wide. I will do what I can. The materials you have given me have made me stronger, more aware. Perhaps I can make them remember too. With a powerful thrust, the dragon launched into the night sky, quickly becoming a shadow against the stars. Jake turned to Lisa. We need to get to the power center. Now. They raced through the colony streets, passing frightened colonists heading in the opposite direction. Emergency lights cast everything in an eerie red glow. The air already felt thinner, harder to breathe. When they reached the power center, they found chaos. Engineers and technicians worked frantically at control panels. Colony security guards stood at the doors, looking nervous. Mark Wilson, the head of colony operations, spotted them. Lisa. Thank God. We need your help. Systems are failing faster than we can fix them. I know what's causing it, Lisa said. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Mark looked desperate enough to believe anything. At this point, I'll take any explanation. Jake stepped forward. There are creatures feeding on our power systems. They're like space dragons. They consume energy. Mark stared at him. You're right. I don't believe you. Believe this, Lisa said, showing him her tablet with Draken's energy readings. Something is actively draining power, not just system failures. And look at the pattern, it's moving, like something alive. On her screen, they could see energy flows being diverted and consumed in ways that no mechanical failure could explain. Mark's face went from skeptical to grim. So what do we do? We have help, Jake said, looking up through the dome at the night sky. But we need to buy some time. As if in answer, the entire colony shuddered. Through the clear sections of the dome, they saw a flash of blue light high above them. The battle had begun. The power center erupted into activity as engineers tried to reroute systems and save what energy remained. Jake and Lisa pushed through the crowd to reach the main control panel. We need to help Draken, Jake said, his voice low so only Lisa could hear. Those other dragons are stronger than they should be after feeding on our power grid. Lisa nodded, her fingers flying over the control panel. I have an idea, but it's crazy. Crazy is all we've got right now, Jake replied. Outside, flashes of blue and white light lit up the night sky. Through the dome, they could see shapes moving, large, winged forms circling and diving at each other. Draken was fighting the other dragons, trying to stop them from draining more power from the colony. Draken told us the materials we gave him helped activate his old systems, Lisa explained quickly. What if we could boost that process? Give him more power to fight them off. Jake caught on immediately. Like a power transfer. Feed him energy directly from our reserves. Exactly, Lisa said. We still have emergency batteries that the other dragons haven't found yet. If we can create a directed energy beam. Mark overheard them. You want to give our last power reserves to the things attacking us? Are you insane? Not to all of them, Jake explained. Just to the one trying to help us. The one I've been working with. Mark looked like he might argue further, but another violent shake of the colony changed his mind. Warning lights flashed as oxygen levels dropped another percentage point. Do whatever you need to do, he said finally. We're out of options. Lisa quickly reprogrammed the colony's main communication array. This should let us focus the remaining power into a tight beam. But someone needs to tell your dragon friend to get in position. Jake pulled out his communicator and stepped outside onto the observation platform. The cold Martian air bit at his lungs, already thin from the failing life support. "Draken," he shouted into the night. "We're going to help you. Come to the main antenna array." Above him, the battle continued. Jake could now see the other dragons clearly, smaller than Draken, with darker scales and red glowing circuits instead of blue. They moved erratically, attacking both Draken and the colony's structures. Draken heard Jake's call. The large dragon broke away from the fight and swooped down toward the power center. The other dragons followed, sensing a new energy source. "Lisa, now!" Jake shouted into his communicator. Inside, Lisa activated the modified array. A brilliant beam of blue-white energy shot upward from the colony's main antenna. It struck Draken directly, enveloping the dragon in pulsing light. The effect was immediate and stunning. Draken's body absorbed the energy, growing brighter until it was painful to look at directly. The circuits beneath its scales reorganized, forming new patterns that spread across its entire body. The other dragons pulled back, confused by the transformation happening before them. Draken's voice boomed across the colony, deeper and more powerful than before. "I remember now. I know what we are." The glowing dragon turned to face the three smaller ones. Instead of attacking, Draken began to emit pulses of light in complex patterns, a communication Jake couldn't understand. The smaller dragons hovered uncertainly. Then, one by one, they responded with their own light patterns. Inside the power center, the engineers watched in amazement as system after system came back online. "They're returning the energy they took," Lisa said, checking the readings. "Power levels are stabilizing." Jake stepped back inside, his eyes never leaving the dragons. "What's happening out there?" "Yes," Draken replied. "The energy you provided unlocked the last of my ancestral memories. I was able to share them. They are young, but they learn quickly." For the first time since the crisis began, Jake allowed himself to hope. "So what happens now?" 3 days after the attack, the colony of New Hope gathered in the main plaza. The dome above had been repaired, oxygen levels were back to normal, and all systems were running better than ever before. People spoke in excited whispers as they waited for the colony leader to speak. Jake stood to one side with Lisa and Bobby. They had been working non-stop to help with repairs, but today was different. Today was about the future. Colony leader Thomas Reed stepped onto the platform. The crowd fell silent. "Citizens of New Hope," he began, "we faced a crisis unlike any in our colony's history. We survived thanks to quick thinking, bravery, and—" He paused, "unexpected allies." He gestured to the sky. On cue, four shapes appeared above the dome, Draken and the three younger dragons. They circled in perfect formation, their scales catching the sunlight. Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Many colonists were seeing the dragons for the first time. "These beings are called the Voidborn," Reed continued. "They are ancient guardians, created long ago to protect developing worlds like ours. For millennia, they forgot their purpose. Thanks to one of our own, Jake Turner, they have remembered." All eyes turned to Jake. He shifted uncomfortably under the attention. Reed motioned for Jake to join him on the platform. Reluctantly, Jake stepped forward. "Tell them what you told me," Reed said. Jake cleared his throat. "I met Draken, the largest dragon, when he came looking for scrap metal. He just wanted leftovers, things we didn't need anymore. But I saw something in him that reminded me of the machines I fix. So I started giving him better parts, materials that helped his systems work properly." He looked up at the dragons circling overhead. "I didn't know I was helping him remember what he was made for. What all of them were made for." As if hearing his words, Draken descended to hover just above the plaza. The dragon's voice carried easily to everyone gathered. "For too long, my kind wandered the void between stars, forgetting our purpose," Draken said. "We became scavengers, taking what we could find. The young ones grew desperate, taking energy without understanding the harm they caused. The three smaller dragons lowered their heads in what looked like shame. But Jake Turner saw beyond what we had become, Draken continued. He did not give me leftovers, he gave me choice materials that awakened old memories. He saw potential where others would see only a threat. Reed stepped forward again. The Voidborn have offered us a partnership. They will protect our colony from space debris, radiation, and other threats. In return, we will provide them with materials they need, not leftovers, but specially designed components. The crowd murmured with excitement. Everyone knew how dangerous the Martian environment could be. Having guardians would make life safer for everyone. Already, they have improved our systems, Reed added. Our power grid is running at 120% efficiency. Our radiation shields are stronger than ever. And they've cleared orbital debris that threatened our supply ships. Jake watched as the younger dragons performed a series of aerial maneuvers. Their movements were precise now, controlled. Their scales had taken on the same blue sheen as Draken's, though not quite as bright. Draken descended further, coming to rest on the ground near the platform. People stepped back, but there was curiosity rather than fear in their eyes. We have much to learn from each other, the dragon said. My kind remembers technologies from civilizations long gone. You humans have creativity and adaptability we have never seen before. Jake stepped closer to Draken. From leftovers to partnership, he said quietly. Not bad for a week's work.